Hebrew, we're like, well, of course the Levites were attached to Aaron. Saw that coming. And here we are. We're missing the whole context. There's a theme, especially in the Hebrew stories and even Book of Mormon stories, where people's names mean, and even New Testament, there's some. These were words actually conveying meanings in the actual writings of these works. You're the slowest I've ever seen. She was reading all of that instead of just scrolling to verse 34.
Welcome back to Rooted in Faith. I'm Nikki, and this is Ethan.
Hi.
And so we have a really interesting topic. The missionaries asked us about Leviathan the other night, and we hadn't really looked into that before. I didn't know anything about it.
Yep, the Leviathan, or Leviathan in Hebrew.
Yes.
I'm sure I butchered that, but Leviathan. What is it, and what does it mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's
let's
super
jump
interesting.
in. So first, where is it found? That is, we're looking in the Old Testament. Leviathan is only in a few places.
Yeah. So Job 41, Isaiah 27.
Isaiah 27, verse 1. We got Psalm 104, 25 through 26. Psalm 74, 12 through 14. And then the entire chapter of Job 41.
Yeah.
So really only 4 chapters in the Old Testament have Leviathan.
Job's pretty interesting.
Yep, that describes the Leviathan. It's a whole chapter. It's really cool.
Yeah.
How many verses in that one?
There are 34.
Should we read them?
Maybe we could read a few.
Okay. Well, pick out your favorite ones. So what does it mean in Hebrew? Leviathan means to join, twist, or coil, which is interesting. Like, for example, there's many words in Hebrew that mean twist. You could have a word that means twist, like making yarn, like you're twisting wool. And then you could have a different word that means twist, but in the context it means to squeeze, like you're twisting a towel and wringing it out. Or you could have another word that means twist, like to distort and to deceive. And when each of these words have the opportunity to be translated as twist into English, and they can mean twist, but that's one word out of quite a few that when we read the scriptures, we see twist. It really depends on the context, and it's all different words. They're not necessarily related, and there's room for interpretation in those words, and we'll see a little bit of that with Leviathan. Yeah. So do you have any good verses out of Job 41?
I was just thinking maybe I'll just read the first 6.
Okay.
Because the whole chapter is kind of read like this, so you guys should definitely go open up your scriptures and read the whole chapter.
Job 41. Hit it.
Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird? Or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they take him among the merchants?
So there's a lot to unpack in there.
Yeah.
And Job is fantastic, but you really have to use your imagination on some of these. But in short, especially if you Google this or use your AI, a Leviathan is referring to a mythical creature such as a serpent, or possibly a dragon, or a snake. And the reason being, when we look at the meaning of the word, it's to join, twist, or coil. Yeah. And that's where we get it. An interesting thing is the ending of the word in Hebrew, Leviathan, the tan part at the end, That's used in other places. It's a indicator of it being a noun, but it's also used as a form when describing a mythical creature, such as Tanin, which is a dragon. So that's something that we keep in mind here in the etymology of the word. It is referring to something mythical, something large,
The imagery
something
of it.
serpent or snake-like. We get that from the first part of the word, Levi, which comes from the root Levi. And what Levi means, that means to join, to accompany, or to be attached.
Yeah.
So to join, that could be one of those twist words. We're going to join something. We're going to twist two things together.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now
like,
it's a joining.
when you're joining yarn, you're twisting it together
Yeah.
to
So
join
that
it.
back
It's
to the many
interesting.
uses of those words.
Yeah.
But we get that. So if we were to say a twisting, mythical, large creature, well, we imagine a serpent, which is it's fascinating. Now we're going to dive into that here in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you haven't picked it out yet, there's another word that is very similar to Levi and Leviathan. And
This is really interesting.
yeah, let's see if you can guess it. Do you know what it is?
Levi.
She already knows.
Yeah.
Levi or Levi, the name, the tribe of Levi, the tribe of Levi.
The Levites.
Yeah, the Levites. So that also comes from the root word Levi. Now, it is really fascinating, and I think this all ties. Excuse me, I've got all the yawns here. It all ties together. So let's dive into Levi here, and then we'll tie it back to Leviathan, and maybe see if there's some similarities to some modern day examples of Leviathan.
Yeah.
But let's dive into Levi real quick, because this is really interesting.
I thought this was, when you found this part, I just thought this was really cool because it really ties, I think, the wordplay that the Hebrews do and everything. I think
Lots
it's
of
just
puns.
so cool.
Yeah, no, it is very cool. So the word Levi, or the name Levi, it means joined or attached. So we're seeing a theme here. Leviathan is to join, twist, coil. Levi, which is the root word, is to join, accompany, be attached to. And then we have the name Levi, which means joined or attached. Now, the story of this, of how Levi gets his name, is in Genesis 29.
Oh, yeah.
So I think about verse 30, 32, 33, 34, somewhere in there. So Levi's mother, Leah, Leah is the first wife to Jacob. Now, she's already had two sons already. Levi is the third son. Now, in Genesis 29, I think verse 34 possibly. You're the slowest scroller I've ever seen. She was reading all of that instead of just scrolling to verse 34. I already said it was right around the 30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
verse Genesis 29:34. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi.
so it's kind of a funny thing. There's a theme, especially in the Hebrew stories and even Book of Mormon stories, where people's names mean, and even New Testament, there's some.
Peter.
Peter,
Petra.
yeah, Petra, meaning rock. But then you got, was it Thomas? Yeah, Thomas.
Oh, yes.
Thomas coming from the Toma for twin, which is what is it? Didymus Thomas. Didymus also means twin.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting the way some of the name wordplay. We just call
like twin.
We use it as names.
Yeah.
But these were words actually conveying meanings in the actual writings of these works. But yeah, in this verse, it's kind of interesting. Now, she, Leah, or Leah, conceived again and bare a son, and said, now this time will my husband be Levi unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. So you can see
The use of it
some
over
of
and
the
over again.
wordplay
Yeah.
in there. It makes sense to us. The names are Levi and Leah, and it is just names, but it means something. It means to be joined, and even the root. I looked up. Does Leah come from the same root, Levi? And the answer is no. The answer is no.
Kind of similar.
And we'll
but-
put it up on the screen so
yeah.
you guys can see this.
Yeah.
Really interesting, because there's only one difference between Leah and Levi. Well, first, Leah doesn't really have a root word according to the scholarship here. It may come from Leah, which is L-E apostrophe, or excuse me, L-A apostrophe A-H, which means to grow faint or to grow weary. Different meaning than Leah and Leviathan and Levi. But when and we'll show it on the screen. So there's something to dive into. I don't have it all figured out, but
Yeah. I don't think we dove as deep. Like, we could definitely go into this further.
well,
Another sidetrack point
yeah,
is
go for
that
it.
because she has borne him 3 sons, why the 3rd son is the one that joins them.
Well,
I thought that was interesting, but
Well, there's a few ideas. Of course, you have our numerology in Hebrew that we can look into. And again, we don't have all this information at our fingertips right now. We'd
Yeah,
have to put
we
it together.
haven't-
Maybe we'll do Levi, Leviathan Part 2. However, I did notice the aleph tav does appear to be in the
Yes.
name Leah and Leah. So
which is really interesting.
really interesting, especially
There's-
where Levi is a significant character, and even his name is tied to things that happen later to the Levites. For example,
Well, go ahead.
the Levites are joined to Aaron and his ministry in Numbers 18. Well, that's almost prophetic. That the Levites. Why wasn't it the Reubenites?
yeah.
Why not the
But then,
Gadites?
yeah, it's
the
interesting.
Asherites. No, it was the Levites that were
Yeah.
joined.
And spread
and
throughout.
Whose name means to join. They're also dispersed and attached to and accompany the other tribes. They don't have a land inheritance. They're dispersed and attached and accompanying the other ones.
It's so
Which is
crazy.
literally tied into the root of their name, Levi.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So cool. It's just so cool.
Oh, we missed
Like-
that in seminary, don't
Yeah.
we? It was just boring names and everything, but it literally is telling us what's going to happen. Anyone in ancient Hebrew would be like, well, of course the Levites were attached to Aaron. Saw that coming. And here we are. We're missing
We're
the
like-
whole context.
Mind blown, and we're just like,
Yeah,
I
it's the
wish we
basic.
had-
Well, of course it is.
yeah. Duh.
But then we've got 11 other tribes where we probably ought to learn what their name means.
What did they mean?
Because it's probably exactly what happens to them in the story. It
Dang,
probably
I didn't
has
even
a
think
big.
about that. We should really.
We could probably
all
dive
the
into
names. Yeah.
actually 14 tribes. That'll
Yeah.
be another podcast. But if the Hebrews are so consistent in their puns, there's probably a lot of other hidden meanings in the other names of the tribes.
Yeah.
For example, Reuben, the sauerkraut and pastrami sandwich is probably one of the best. No, that came later. So,
well, but you have Alma. Look at that. But that's
Alma is a good one. We could do one on that. That's a
And-
Margaret Barker one.
yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's lots of cool names. But anyway, getting back to, was there something you wanted to say?
That was my sidetrack, was the 3rd son, and I just thought that was interesting because we have other 3s pop up, and I don't know, maybe there's something to it.
Well,
We
you
just
have the
haven't
idea
dived
of
into that
there
yet.
being
Or dove in.
for things to be validated, you need 3 witnesses.
Yeah.
Well, she has 3 sons as a witness unto her joining herself to Jacob.
Mm-hmm. It could follow
Could be
that.
something like that.
That was my first thought, but I just
Or-
haven't looked into it.
Or the guy's name was Levi, and they wove it into the story because, hey,
They wove
here's
it.
how his name became Levi. It's awfully convenient. So we have to. I wonder, was his name actually Levi? Well, yeah, we got 1,000 years of tradition that said, yeah, the guy's name was Levi.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they're trying to explain, when the author is explaining how he gets his name, yeah, barring learning what the context is and the significance of having a 3rd son, which suddenly attaches you to your husband, it's just kind of strange and coincidental that that's why she named him that, because now she is joined to Jacob. Well, that's what the name Leah and or Levi and Levi mean, and so interesting. But it seems to follow that Aleph Tav and the covenant relationships as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe there's a part in Malachi where it notes the people are Levi, or joined to God in covenant. So there's something significant there.
Yeah, and Margaret Barker has so much on that. It's
There's a ton.
If you search for her, there's some super interesting podcasts that have some of her lectures on it.
Oh, very much so.
And
but let's get into the modern day stuff. So how does this apply to anything useful or current? Well, I can't help but think, when I think of something, something coiled, it means joined, attached to, maybe many small things combining into a big thing. That's what comes to mind. And contextually, I don't think that's a large leap. I think of, and I think some of you might find this strange, and I don't mean the Leviathan. We read the scriptures, and it's talking about a serpent, and the Leviathan seems to be something to be defeated, and it carries somewhat of a negative connotation. So I'm not. The next thing I say here, I'm not meaning in a negative connotation, but more in a meaningful comparison, because when we apply scriptures and prophecy to events in our current day, we try and understand things.
Yeah,
there are connections that are made. Some of them aren't, they're just correlated, but some of them carry some meaning, and it's not always the first thing that we think of. For me, I think of the United States as a Leviathan. We have the
many parts.
Join or die colonial poster. That's the one with the snake, and it's all chopped into parts, and it says join or die. And each snake part has the initials of a colony. We have the Don't Tread on Me, which is the snake. It's not necessarily many parts, but it is coiled. It is twisted. And it became a rallying symbol for colonists and even our libertarians today. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Which sounds like a Leviathan. Parts combined, twisted, accompanied, but it is a conglomerate. It's a large mythical creature. It's one massive thing, but seems to have this element of combination. The United Nations could be a Leviathan. The NATO could be a Leviathan, out of many pieces combined into one. And that's where, in doing this word association and thinking about it and applying it to certain situations, I just kept coming back to a term and a phrase that is used in the Book of Mormon, and that was secret combinations. I don't have anything literary or etymological to tie that together, but when I think of out of many things, one, to twist, there is a word, it's not lava, but there is a twist word that means conspiracy. I can't help but think that a conglomerate of combinations of conspiratorial acts being a Leviathan that
It makes
needs
sense.
defeating.
Like, it kind of makes sense.
I don't think Leviathan is necessarily negative. It's how you use the word, and there are negative. There's definitely a negative use and connotation in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
But I think a possible different, separate word for that, or phrase for that, would be secret combinations. But that's what I think. What do you think?
Well, when you brought that up to me, like, I was like, oh, that makes sense, because secret combinations was actually something I was thinking a little bit about. But I mean, when you kind of broke it all down, it makes sense. Like, I think you're right. There could be different uses of the word, and in the Bible it has that negative, like, connotation to it. It's a combination of many parts coming together to build something greater.
I think so.
Whether it's bad or good.
Yeah. But with that in mind, all you've got to do is go read the scriptures.
Yes.
Leave us a comment, like it and share it. But go read these scriptures. Psalm 74, 12 through 14, Psalm 104, 25 through 26, Isaiah 27, 1. There's a little bit of, it says Leviathan in the first verse, but there's some connotation or context in the subsequent verses. But then definitely Job 41.
Yes.
Go read all about the Leviathan. Tell me what you think about the modern versions of our Leviathans, and leave us some comments.
Yeah. Like and subscribe.
Yep. Like, share, subscribe. Yeah.
Give us any ideas.
Okay. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one.